Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. We put a bow on the NFC East today, Andy, with our daily NFL team-by-team previews and gambling outlooks. This episode, as all of our NFL preseason content, is sponsored by Circa Millions and Survivor contests. Millions 7 this year. Seven, like 7 little chipmunks twirling on a branch,
sitting on a branch eating sunflower seeds.
That have my uncle's ranch.
On my uncle's ranch.
You know, it's like 7 songs from the sea.
That's
yeah,
6
and Survivor.
7. That's making sense.
6, yeah. And of course, Survivor, which is the largest prize pool that will be awarded for any football contest that is legally able to enter. And you can enter from anywhere, and you enter in Nevada in person, but play from anywhere via proxy. So great contest. Check it out. And you have T-minus approximately 61 days to sign up. I just made that number up. I think that sounds right, though, right?
And there are some festivities out there for sign up. They have what's called Sign Up Weekend. We'll be out there. We'll be up on a radio row doing a show. We'll be out there if you want to say hi if you're signed up that weekend. That's a lot of fun. And I don't think I need to sell you on just all weekends or weeks in Vegas are pretty fun. I know Brett's out there right now. I'm seeing pictures from Stadium Swim.
Yeah, I know. That was
Wimbledon finals.
Talk about FOMO. It's like, oh man.
You know, I looked at my calendar. I'm like,
it's been great watching Iga just absolutely wreck shit from Stadium Swim today. That was a great match for me.
Again, and not an ad, because we're not sponsored by them. Not an ad, but there is something very psychologically different about smashing somebody at 70, 80, 90% on Kalshi compared to laying minus 500, minus 300, whatever, where I am just fine with that. I put my balance on Novak yesterday. I put my balance on Iga today. I'm just like, all of it, fine. You know,
just picking up the pennies.
Just picking up pennies in front of a train, honestly. I don't want to talk tennis today because
me neither.
We'll play around with it tomorrow.
Also,
I think Amanda wins.
Wow. That is a hot take. We will revisit this tomorrow on Fuck Around Friday. And corrections and retractions. You have 59 days to sign up for contests, as I believe they will take entries up to Sunday morning kickoff. You can enter week 1. Sunday morning is the last day you're allowed.
And there's always the fun Survivor wrinkle of
59 days.
If you can only enter Survivor up to 10 times if you have a bunch of cash you want to enter. Yeah. But if you enter and you pick someone from that Thursday night game, the opener, and they lose, you can rebuy.
That's the only time you can rebuy.
Yeah, I think you can do 20 entries technically if you lost the first.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if somebody would go all in on one team. I think you probably go half and half, right?
I mean, if you really do have FU money and you just want that $50 million, then you go 10 entries on the Cowboys opening night banner.
Use it up.
And if they win, then you have 10 very live awesome entries. And if you lose, you buy 10 more. But that would be 20,000 of your hard-earned American dollars in the pool, which we're going to take home. So please do that.
Proxy fees. All right. How did the Eagles end the season?
With cashing. It was the only victory more emphatic than Iga stomping Belinda Bencic today. It was a truly spectacular Super Bowl. I'm still basking in the glow. It was fun. It was
a fun win. And honestly, the NFC Championship game too, they outscored the last 2 opponents by like 50 combined points, man.
Yeah.
Those were good teams. Those were really good teams. They
should have covered against the Rams. They covered against the Packers. I think they should have.
I think that score is a little misleading in the Rams game. Not that the Rams team was bad. That was a very good team. But
a lot of garbage time points.
It was a weird, ugly-ish game. And it's crazy. They played 4 playoff games. This was not a team that got a bye because Detroit was the recipient of that. They had to play their way through the playoffs. Again, some of it was at the Link, which is a nasty place to play at that time of year. And yeah, congrats to them. They put it all together. I think our biggest, let's go reverse time machine back to this time last year. Our biggest question marks were probably Kellen Moore. Like, hey, this guy's been good and he's been in talks for head coaching spots, but we never really like saw it completely flourish in Dallas. Obviously, the Los Angeles stop, we didn't get enough of a sample. And I think that the Kellen Moore, like, can he make this come all together and really get the most out of this team?
Yeah. I am not going to flatter Kellen Moore on this podcast.
I still am very mixed up in my head on that. It's a real chicken egg thing.
Yeah. And I also
got a crazy good roster.
I also didn't really care one way or the other about Kellen Moore last year because of we said the talent was so sublime. Like,
yes,
he kind of can't. It's literally like it doesn't matter what quality chef you are. If you know how to cook and you were given those ingredients, you can cook. You can make a beautiful meal. The big question mark for me heading into last season was mostly just like the range of outcomes was win the Super Bowl because you're that good, or like you've lost huge amounts of leadership. You've lost huge locker room leadership with Kelsey and Fletcher Cox walking out of that locker room. And Sirianni was not especially embraced by the fans, certainly, and maybe by the players.
He was booed this previous year during a game.
Yeah.
He won the Super Bowl. Yeah. There was a game.
And so it was literally like, if things break right and they're winning and vibes are good, like Super Bowl. And if things break poorly and vibes are bad, like clean house. Like that was sort of where we stood. I feel weird. Yeah.
And you bring up Kelsey. That was one. I think other people were more worried about that than maybe they should have been. We talked about that. The Jurgens
we didn't think
thing
from a talent
standpoint, but you're right. The leadership stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember talking about that too. He was still in the locker room here and there. Like he's still around the team. It's different though when he's not on the team anymore. Somebody of that stature that's been around for so long. But most things broke well. The turnover on the defensive line, which we'll talk to again this year.
Sure.
Cam Jurgens taking over at center. The play calling. I don't know that we were rosy enough on Saquon. We were very rosy. We're like, hey, he's an elite back that's ending up behind an elite offensive line in a run-first offense. Like, this is probably a good situation.
Oh, I was cold on that. I was cold on it because I was like, he's boom or bust. The busts are going to put you in a bad position to do your thing of just get a little and then make the fourth down conversion easy. Like, I thought it was going to set them back, but it turned out that the booms were like
the booms were big.
Those were game changers for them.
Yeah.
That offense, it turned out, needed an explosive element. And so, if we're gonna do the autopsy, carve up the pie and serve everybody their just desserts, the biggest slice goes to how we do it. Howie Roseman is the reason that the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. Number one reason. I think he gets the healthy share of the pie. I give a next biggest slice probably to Fangio. I liked his defensive coaching and his philosophy, particularly in that Super Bowl. And then the next slice I'm going to give
hey, Zach Bond is an all-star.
Next slice goes to the skill position group. And then the next slice goes to Jalen Hurts. Hurts, I didn't think did much to get them to where the second seed really during the season. I thought he was good, not great. And at times was disappointing considering the tools he had to work with. But Hurts in the Super Bowl was phenomenal. That was that might have been his best game as a pro.
Good time to do it.
Yeah, considering the stakes, that was as good as you could ever hope for.
He got the second trophy. He got the MVP for it.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I would divvy up the pie. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm pretty.
You know who I don't give a slice to? Sirianni, really.
Yeah, it's a pretty healthy chunk.
You know what? Sirianni gets a little slice for electing to go for it when he went for it, I guess. Okay. Sticking with the tush push as embracing the analytics, listening to what the analytics team was telling him. I guess he gets a sliver of the pie.
He gets some for the, like you said, for some of the risk risk analysis on that and going for it. But yeah, I'm a big Fangio pie giver, I guess, in this sense. And then obviously, like you said, with Howie. And I think, yeah, to kind of, if you are if you're just an absolutely neutral fan, I guess you just want to hear the preview. But I think if you're an Eagles fan, you want to hear how he's going to just do it again. And for the most part, I don't know how I can't give him a super big benefit of the doubt. I suppose if you're not an Eagles fan, if you're maybe a Washington, Dallas, any other team, maybe you want to hear how it's finally going to fall on its face. But if you look at this offseason, man, all they did, like all of their guys that left or they got rid of, it's like, well, they're just getting cheaper and younger. It's like this team for sure. Yeah, this team is very well versed in roster construction and the ongoing metamorphosis of a roster and how it's supposed to work out. Obviously, that set of stuff is, the best laid plans. I mean, we've seen plenty of teams make the right calls and the right sort of moves, and just the players don't work out. I mean, obviously, this works out so much better because Quinyon Mitchell, DeJean Cooper DeJean. I can't I'm trying to look at a depth chart because I was looking for a third guy. Oh yeah, even Keely Ringo. It's like those guys are all super young. He's going to be in his third year, and so let's get rid of some of the old people we're paying in the secondary, and and Sweat was going to be really expensive, and we've been pretty good at replacing defensive linemen as well. Yeah. And the roster construction going forward is like, oh fuck it, we can pay Saquon now.
Yeah. We've been
kind of kicking that can down the road, just getting getting a half decent running back. He has a good year, somebody else takes him. Yeah. But this guy's obviously a little more special. Let's pay him. We can now.
What's the fair odds that the Eagles win another Super Bowl with a core that looks similar enough to this that you're like, they did it again? Honestly, it's pretty high. It really is. And I think ultimately if the Eagles win again this year, which is 100% within the range of possibilities, it's not even necessarily going to be any of the moves you mentioned or what they did last offseason. It's how we did it 2 years ago. The pieces that they put in place and the timeline that they built for themselves, combined with hitting on Hurts as a guy that can give you kind of high floor with the weapons that they put around him. This is a team that will contend for Super Bowls for the next handful of years and will probably win another one. I don't know if it'll be this year. I'm going to try my best not to be too optimistic Eagles, just because and maybe I change my tune by the time we get to the end of the offseason. We're doing the Eagles pretty early here. It's still pretty recency biasy for me that we just saw them, just absolutely destroy Mahomes and Andy Reid in the most important game of the season. And I don't want to. Yeah, with DeJean Cooper, and I don't want to be you win on a team or on a player, and you get drawn back to the light, like, oh boy, we were really right. Like they are even better than we thought, right? And maybe I'm trying to resist that a little bit and saying that, throwing a little.
Well, I think you got to look at all outcomes. Like how does this go wrong? What is the worst case scenario that isn't just cluster injuries? How is the exiting of a few of these defensive line? I think that's what it is. The turnover on the defensive line, finally, you see a drawback. Like the pass rush isn't as good, and the run stop suffers. And then you maybe see some sophomore slumps from DeJean, from Mitchell, and they're like, oh man, that we don't have a lot of leadership in the secondary, I guess. Yeah. Veteran leadership that we had last year, and I'm trying to look at who the oldest.
This is all qualitative stuff, but just in general, there was a sense of the Eagles had unfinished business last year. Those guys.
There was a couple years in a row where they pissed it away at the end.
Now the business is finished. They got their Super Bowl. They did it in style. Are these guys putting in the same, degree of, for every bit that a Georgia defensive player has all of the talent in the universe? They know they have that talent. Are they really like redoubling their efforts to go get another one? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not saying they're not. But yeah, I would just exercise a hair of caution and just assuming that, that you get the same level of focus and intensity out of this group this year. And plus their schedule is tougher. Plus, I don't know. I guess the main argument probably as to, well, why doubt them, is that even despite as well as Hurts played in the Super Bowl proper, I don't think he's a top 5 guy. There are better quarterbacks in the NFL. And you catch one of those guys on the wrong day, you're not winning.
It's funny. There's some offenses that are quarterback driven, and there's some offenses that are very much scheme driven. And I think we know which one we have here. And it's not to say Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback, because he's clearly a top 10 guy. He's just not. I don't think he has the ceiling of a top 5 guy, which is when you have the rest of the roster they have and the coaching and the go for it on fourth down kind of, and I mean, everything else down to the special teams and everything. It's enough. Like, you don't need a top 5 quarterback to win a Super Bowl. It's not how it works every year. I mean, Brad Johnson has a Super Bowl, man. Trent Dill. I mean, Sometimes it's just the rest of the team. And I think the scheme is enough. And I tried hard to like play devil's advocate on what goes wrong here. But like you said, how do you look at this and be like, yeah, well, this is the year that Howie made a bunch of bad moves. Like, for sure. Nick Foles. Yeah, Nick Foles is redlining for a little bit there. And that was a fun team.
What was his nickname? Kickstand Nick?
Nick Folds, because he has to fold it.
Nick Folds.
That was. I don't know if that was true. They said that in the.
That's what I always heard. Big Dick Nick. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I think ultimately that's the, what stops you this year is there are still a lot of other really good teams. You're not so far ahead of everyone else that you're just going to be able to, moonwalk to another Super Bowl. You may not get a 1 seed. You may not win your division. I don't think you have the best quarterback in your division. So these are kind of all reasons to
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, well, we don't know. Could be. You might have the third best quarterback in your division. I don't know, man. I think ultimately the realistic, a lot of my tone, a lot of my kind of mentality right now is cautious optimism for the Eagles, because I don't want to be the guy that, is blinded by the most recent performance, which was out of this universe.
So, off-season. We'll go losses first. Josh Sweat, defensive end, is now happy, fat, and paid. I don't know if he's fat, but he's very paid and happy in Arizona. Brandon Graham is now in New England. That was another, I don't know. Those were good signings by those teams. And then a lot of the secondary was like let go or traded. Darius Slay was released. CJ was traded for Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman from the Texans, and some pick swapping. James Bradbury, the corner, was released. What did happen to Becton? Is he with anyone?
Yeah, he got picked up. It was a good signing. That was a good signing by somebody, I thought, at least. Yeah,
I just don't. I have it. He's not with the Eagles. Your right guard is not with the Eagles. So you do have a little.
I forget where Becton is now, but
this is killing me right now because it doesn't matter to this one. But Kai Becton is a Charger. All right, where was I? That's kind of it. Milton Williams, Kenny Gainwell, a couple other losses, and you try to fill in. They got Azeez Ojulari. Kind of cheap. He was a injury. I think he had a foot injury for a couple games last year. They do tend to pick Giants. I think that's just a bit now with Howie down too, because they went and got a Dory Jackson.
Yeah.
And honestly, they might cut him. I don't think they need that. They have so much depth Even with getting rid of some of the vets, I don't know that they really need him. So they went and got him. They went and got,
Josh
not a
Uche.
lot. Yeah, Uche from the Patriots. They extended Bond. They extended Barkley. They gave Lane Johnson a little extension. Jurgens got his. Kenny Pickett gone, traded to the Browns. Bryce Huff was the Bryce Huff era is over, right?
Yes, Tanner McKee is backing up Hurts.
Tanner McKee, and they drafted Kyle McCord in the 6th round. They got a new long snapper.
I don't
know what Charlie Healy. I never know what the impetus is for like replacing a long snapper, because they had a guy for like 5 years, and then this guy was hurt with the Browns, and the Browns used somebody else. So they're like, we got somebody else now. So he'd been with the Browns for 10 years, and then they just got rid of him. So, and then obviously the draft, Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Bama, versatile linebacker, can kind of do both things that linebackers do. And you got him pretty late. He was maybe expected to go a little higher. You got a safety from Texas in Andrew Makuba. And then everybody else was like, they didn't have any 3rd-round picks. Everything was past pick 100, but there was a ton of them. They got a bunch of depth here and there. And it'd be interesting if anybody you in the chat or online has any takes on, like, Sam Smell Mondin or Cameron Williams, kind of a lot of developmental tackles they got late, and a couple other guys. Did I miss anybody?
No, their best move was
Kylan Granson, tight end depth.
Avery Williams is their new returner. Did you say that?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I didn't say that, but yeah, they did revamp the long snapping and kick return game. So special teams.
Well,
there's been a non-white long snapper. That's a hell of a question. It always does seem to be like he just looks like a guy who's just a little too small to be an offensive lineman, and he went to like a MAC school.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The biggest move for them, I thought, was retaining Zach Bond. That was really nice. He is a huge part of rating that front seven. His specific performances, his contributions last year were, I think, understated. In a world where linebackers are more well regarded for DPOI, he probably gets some votes. Wait, did he get votes?
He was a finalist. He was a finalist for.
Okay,
defense.
Maybe not. So it was recognized.
It was. Yeah, he was part of the group that was like, finalists is what they call it, I believe.
Okay, good. That checks out to me. I guess as you look at their roster, it does feel thin, right? This feels thin. You it's not
we
stars
saw
and
it when we saw it when the wide receivers were hurt.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
go
not
look
stars
at the
and
depth
scrub,
chart
but
behind AJ and Devonta right now.
It's bad.
Enos Smith, I don't know what that is.
It's bad. That's bad. The depth behind Barkley is bad. I don't think H.E. Dillon has much left. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the idiot. The depth at tight end is weak. The depth at offensive line is completely unproven in your system. Like every single one of the second line guys is new to your system. Your same goes for your linebacking and cornerback room. They are teetering on. We're going to learn how good they are at developing players if anyone gets hurt. An injury bug really does bring them back to the pack, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially no Tyler Steen having to be the right guard. You do lack depth at offensive line. Like I said, those rookies that were drafted in the 5th and 6th round as developmental guys. I know a lot can change, and I haven't dug in too much on the camp battles on who's going to be the backup right tackle. But right now they're listed 2nd string, and these guys were day 3 picks this year. So I mean, you have Kenyon Green. He can move around a little, I suppose, but some of the depth at wide receiver absolutely stinks. But that said, you have 2 all-pros starting, so you can't have everything, guys. And the same thing with the offensive line. Like, the depth stinks, But the starters are still, hey, here's a top 5 unit with a top 3 running scheme. And, if everybody stays healthy, I guess it's all duckies and bunnies.
Or
Dallas
just
Goedert
need to stay healthy if they're healthy in January.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert, older, been getting hurt a lot. And like you said, somebody in the chat already said that Kylan Granson stinks. Colts, that's where I remember him from. They got Harrison Bryant, too. They have Grant Calcaterra. It's not a great tight end room, but again, you can't have everything. You're doing pretty well at quarterback, running back. You got Ben Vance Summerin, fullback. They said they're going to involve him a little more. He's just kind of a special teams all-star. And then, Nakobe Dean, the injury was in the wild card round, if I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
When he tore his patellar tendon, which is a bad one. That is not something he's not playing week 1. Like, that's a pup start at least. I would think. So they
and we don't know about their first round pick, Jahad Campbell, either, right? You got a read on whether he'll be available?
No, I do not.
No, I don't either.
Maybe, but he's kind of there. Otherwise, it's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. playing some middle linebacker, which is not where I suppose I'd put him.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's kind of the overall takeaway, which is they kept the important pieces. They jettisoned some of the expendable pieces, and they have now backfilled with the great unknown. And we will find out if they are as good at talent development and talent identification, I guess, as they have proven track record wise. Like, is that a repeatable skill, or did they just happen to hit some winners? So we'll know. We'll find out this year probably, because I doubt they stay healthy all year. You want to look at their schedule?
Yeah, they're expecting Campbell. Campbell should be on the field in August, it says.
Let's cover one other thing. Oh, he's going to be on the field, but he may not be ready to go week 1.
That's what I'm saying. I think he'll be on the practice field.
Okay.
Like, he's not going to be sitting out camp.
Okay.
It was surgery on that shoulder.
The good news for the Eagles is they retained Vic Fangio. The probably doesn't matter news for the Eagles is that they are welcoming in a new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. What can you tell me about Mr. Patullo?
Passing game coordinator. I watched some press conferences of his, and I think there's 2 kinds of paths you can take when you're not only being promoted into a big spot like this, and you're on a team that was good. I mean, it's one thing. It was like, hey, we were the 30th ranked offense, and we fired the guy, and now I'm here. I have to do X, Y, and Z to take us to the next level. It's different when you were good, because you can say, like, well, I'm still gonna do things my way. Like, I'm not just gonna status quo this, but like everything he's saying without saying it is kind of just how Kellen did it. Like, he's not saying I'm gonna do what Kellen Moore did. I'm going to continue to do the exact same things, but he's saying the things that Kellen said, and it's player based, and we're just gonna put players out there and get the most out of these receivers, and focus on this run game. And it seems like it's going to be seamless, but I guess if you have to make assumptions, you got to assume a step back.
I'm not.
He wasn't the offensive coordinator somewhere else for a reason.
Yeah, you know why? Because his last name is Patullo. This guy has been around for a long time and has had a very slow and methodical climb. Like this past list of places he's worked, it is long. And I don't ascribe this to he hasn't gotten elevated to OC until now because he wasn't worthy of it. It looks just to me like, no one recognized.
He's been coaching for like
no
20
one recognized his name from either being a quarterback or being the kid of someone else to be given the chance until now.
Yeah. Sirianni, Fangio, Patullo sounds like a RICO indictment in a mob movie. This is awesome.
Big Dom's
let's go
the
with that.
one pulling the strings.
Big Dom.
The Big Dom's
Oh my
pulling the
gosh,
strings.
that's awesome. So
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know a ton about the guy, but he was the passing game coordinator. He played a big part.
Yeah.
He was technically an assistant, offensive coordinator or head coach or whatever you want to call it last year.
Associate.
They believe in the guy.
Yeah, but it's amazing. 44 years old, he's finally getting his first crack at calling plays, despite this being the path he decided to put himself on at age 22. Wow, good for him. I'm excited for him.
I did notice that there weren't
sure.
gaps. This is the dream, just coaching in the NFL, man.
Yeah, 1981, born in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Went to South Florida. Decided, you know what? I'm going to be a graduate assistant. I'm going to work my way up. 22 years later, he's got his first opportunity to call plays with an elite set of offensive weapons and a defending Super Bowl champion. And he's got a ring. He was on the team last year. So good for Patullo. No other thoughts really on the coaching other than I am surprised that Vic Fangio is allowed to be here with these pieces. This isn't fair. No one in the NFL tried to get him away just so that he's not on the Eagles.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, at a minimum, another NFC team should have just let's double his salary and just hire him as a DC.
Dude, you know what you do? Fire Dable, hire Fangio away from the Eagles, and then who cares? If he doesn't work out for you, you've hurt your rivals.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that no one tried to pull him away. And I know he likes to be. He obviously likes to be here. How could you not? This is kind of the ideal set of pieces to work with to royally wreck some shit. And he still obviously has his fastball.
Maybe he did take some calls, and he was just because think about let's say head coaching job. The Jets is a mess. The Raiders is a mess. The Saints is a mess. The Patriots one wasn't happening. That they wanted Vrabel. Ben Johnson had his pick. He was going to get the Bears one probably. And God knows what the Cowboys were doing. The Cowboys probably should have looked at him, I guess. But a lot of those are I'm X years old, and X is a big number in his case. I don't know exactly what his age is, but it's up there. Do I want to go coach the New Orleans Saints in that clusterfuck right now? Or do I want to have fun with he's just like a Napoleon with the battlefield board and the little guys in front of him. And he has all the best guys. He's having fun. It has to be super enjoyable to have a good roster when you're doing this. Otherwise, it just feels like everyone's had the job where it's man, management is not giving me the tools to succeed, and everybody knows it. And this is just going to go like shit. And that has to be what it feels like to coach a bad team, where he's having fun. So maybe he just kind of floated it out there, don't call me.
You're probably right.
This is a good take from Alex. It feels like the Cowboys look at a separate list when they hire coaches. It felt like that this year.
Yeah. We got to think outside the box. Who does nobody want? Go get me that guy. All right. Yeah. Let's look at their schedule. You ready?
I am.
Ooh. This is
tough. Oh, and if you didn't see it yet, Drew tweeted out the full schedule matrix. It is out for your perusal. Check it out. I retweeted it. Deep Dive retweeted it. You can find it. Download it. Put it on your hard drive. It's virus free. Viruses aren't really a thing anymore. Don't worry about it.
I don't even know what you're talking about. They are favored in a lot of games, Andy. But I will say, there are fewer projected blowout spreads for a super team than you would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, some of those games, because you just are playing, you're playing some of these teams on the road.
You are only 70% implied win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. There's not a lot of gimmies. Last year on their schedule, there were a lot of gimmies. This year, there's only 5.
I think this is where you can take it to negative town because it is a much tougher schedule.
Much tougher.
Especially
Sequencing isn't bad.
if Dallas gets the head out of their ass, and that's a good team. This is an exceptional schedule because you have to play Dallas and Washington twice. You have to play Kansas City. You have to play Tampa Bay, Denver, Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay. Who knows about that? I haven't made my mind up on the Chargers yet. But and
Buffalo's
Buffalo,
on there.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
At Buffalo, at Kansas City, at Minnesota, at Green Bay.
What a shit sandwich to end. Washington, Buffalo, Washington. Like I think, in my opinion, uninformed opinion, the NFL sets some things up for some late season chaos and intrigue. And it seems like whoever was schedule making this year was like, you know what? The East is going to come down to Washington and Philly. Let's make sure those games are late, and let's add a little spice by sandwiching Buffalo in there for Philly. Right? Like this doesn't feel accidental to me.
How many games does the schedule get? We're going to 18. We're going to 18 games eventually.
Sure.
Do you think that's the end, or do you think 20 years down the road they're playing more? It seems like a lot.
It is a lot of games.
I'm just thinking
any more than 18, and they're going to have to add a second bye, right? Or even to get to 18.
They will at 18. I think they have to.
They ought to.
We've already talked about how they're going to try to make the Super Bowl slide into the holiday Monday.
Yeah, so if you have a 20-week season and you're not starting Labor Day weekend,
August, man.
like it's really getting tough to add anymore now. So no, I think 18 is as many as you could actually realistically have.
It's a lot. But like you said, my mind was wandering there a little bit. You have very winnable games after the bye down the stretch. Like even if you split with Green Bay, Detroit, you should be, 3-1 or 4-0 in the next 4. Those are very winnable games. Only 2 of them are on the road. The road games are indoors. You should be able to be in good shape, but it's still like Washington has a similar schedule, and they're probably going to be in good shape too. It's going to be pretty fun. That's a fun stretch for us.
The neutralizer between the Washington and Philly schedules was Washington has to play 3 teams off the bye, and their bye gets nuked. Meanwhile, Philly
and Spain
gets a bye before Green Bay, Detroit back to back. And they don't really play anyone who's super rest advantage. So the travel is pretty light too. They are not sending Philly internationally this year. They did their service last year to Brazil, yeah, and they're in the States for most of the year this year, and their travel is not that bad. The toughest trip they have is that Monday nighter in LA, and that actually comes off of an extended break where they're playing Black Friday versus Chicago, and they get extra days to prepare for that LA trip. So not really. This is not a brutal. This is the travel and rest and situational stuff looks to me at least very favorable for them. It's just the strength of opponents pretty tough.
God, I hope Chicago's good a little bit just for that. Like that, because
that's for Black Friday.
That's a banger game if Chicago doesn't stink.
Yeah,
there's been a few. It feels like the Black Friday games have been like there's been a Jets team and a Dolphins team. I don't know that we've had a good Black Friday game. Have we had more than one? Has it been 2 years of that they've done?
2 years, and I feel like last year like Chiefs Raiders or something. Does that sound right?
I don't know. It feels like there was a Dolphins game in there too. It wasn't
the Dolphins. I remember the Dolphins Jets one for sure. That was extremely forgettable.
Yeah, that's what it was 2 years ago. Chiefs Raiders sounds right. All right. Yeah, it's tough, but it's not so tough that I'm worried about them, I guess. This is what happens when you win the Super Bowl. This is what happens when you get a first place schedule. Fewer primetime games than Washington, it appears, although that Friday one counts, and then they do have the Saturday game around Christmas as well.
Yeah. All of their primetime games are going to be interesting, except for that TNF New York one. I don't know why they continue to serve us that.
They love to give us New York in primetime.
The New York, particularly completely overmatched in division. That is a staple of primetime viewing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
is
that
that better?
7,
Like,
by the time.
Isn't ass beating better than two bad teams playing down to each other?
If you wanted, let me just ask you this: if you wanted a free 3 points, you take the look ahead Philly -7 now.
Yeah,
like that's probably Jackson Dart season, right?
it might be at that point.
Or
Here's
do
the
they
other
wait
question.
until after the short week to throw Dart in? Maybe Dart comes in by next week. So that's the week.
It is tough to do the short.
That is officially the week where Russell Wilson plays so poorly that they bench him. So take the 7 now.
We made a proclamation about Christmas on which team you have to use in Survivor, as we'll pivot a little to talking about how to use the Eagles in Survivor, in the Circa Survivor. Is the rule for them the 3 Thanksgiving games plus Friday? You have one of those 4 games, or is that Friday game
It's in the mix
the
for
weekend?
Thanksgiving. It's in the mix for Thanksgiving.
So you have 4 games you can choose from for Thanksgiving, and then the other
3 that you can
8,
choose
9,
from
10
for Christmas, I think. Yeah. That's what they did last year, at least. I haven't read the rules.
So this Philly team
again.
hosting the Bears is an option for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you like that better than Chiefs at Cowboys? Do you fire the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, or do you fire Philly in Chicago?
I'd have to look a little more at the Chiefs.
It's Philly in Chicago.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Philly's. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's Chicago.
No, it's home. It's home.
Yeah, it's at the link. Oh, actually, that makes it a little easier then.
I wish it were nighttime. It's almost like the difference between LSU at noon and LSU at 8 p.m. The late,
you're right.
I mean, it's
just
more drinking.
Yeah, except that it's gonna be getting dark then anyway, and I don't know that a lot of other folks are gonna have anything to do that Friday in Philadelphia besides really get worked up for that game. So it'll probably be a pretty serious atmosphere.
Yeah, you wake up from your Thanksgiving coma and you crack I don't know, what's a Philly beer? What do they drink? What's like the
Yingling?
Well, Yinglings, I suppose. I associate that more with Pittsburgh, I guess.
It's a very
can't buy them. I cannot go to any liquor store in my entire town and get a Yingling.
Pittsburgh's like Iron City or something. Undrinkable. Yingling's good. Oldest beer in America, right? 1700s. They've been brewing that thing.
It's very old.
Yeah. Anyway, some of our Philly friends, I'm sure, can chime in. But regardless, there are a lot of wins on this schedule, Andy. We looked at the Washington Commanders schedule yesterday, and the implied wins there was 9.5. The implied wins here, 10.5. I want nothing to do with the under on this team, although they are rostered in a way that an alt under makes sense just because of the potential for, AJ Brown does his hammy in week 2, right? Like all of a sudden now you're playing the Rams, the Bucks, and the Broncos back to back with no AJ Brown. Like you might be 1-4 starting out, right? You might be 1-5. No, you're not losing to the Giants. Never mind. But yeah, this is the team that I think you don't touch the under, but if you want to get weird with an alt under, the fragility of some of the important positional rooms is obvious to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you want to fade this team, if you're worried about injury, like that's the thing, you got to put a percentage chance on like the right injuries and look at the prices for like miss the playoffs, alt unders. I'm not advocating for those bets, but I'm saying if you do not like what they did roster wise and you do not like what they have as a second unit for some of these important spots, or maybe you aren't keen on, DeJean and the rest of the young cornerback group maintaining that sort of level as second year, I think that's maybe like it's going to be a pretty juicy price on miss the playoffs.
It's going to be big.
And I think that's within the realm of possibilities if they're, if they have 2-3 injuries, because there's a lot of teams that can have 2-3 important injuries. And, They finished like 2 or 3 games worse than they should have. But with Philly, it could be a lot worse because it's a very tough schedule and they're very thin at some spots.
Let's answer Sam's question. Thoughts on the week 1 side total. Right now, Dallas is 7-point dogs in the banner game. However, the juice is tilted in favor of the Cowboys pretty aggressively. So if you want those 7 points, you have to lay 115. You are laying 101 if you want to get involved with the champs. Total is sitting at 46.5, which is awfully high in my opinion. I think this is more like a 44.5-ish type of game. Just sort of the way the teams stack up and the potential for defenses to be a bit ahead of offenses with this, with the groups that are out there, and the fact that Dallas might score 3 points.
Yeah. So if you remember, I had Dallas as a 0, roughly median, the median team, the average team, without giving away too much. 7 is my number. I have Philly as a 6, and their home field is one of the better ones in the league. It's over a point. So yeah, I'm with Sam here. First half under for me, but I wasn't going to say it out loud on the podcast because now it's ruined. Everybody knows that the first half under angle.
First half under.
It wasn't something we came up with.
No, we weren't the
stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah. But yes, ultimately the total I think closes a little bit lower. And side is probably correct at 7. So
I think this is the case too. There's a decent chance that just Schottenheimer isn't in his bag yet, and that's
and the offensive line having cohesion week 1 is not likely.
So like
the defensive line
Eagles
being revved the fuck up. Yeah.
There could be like a just like a 24-10, 24-7 kind of game where the Eagles don't look great, but the Cowboys just look so bad trying to break into the Schottenheimer era, and the lights are a little too bright. So I like that, Birdie. I like that as an alt. Do
you think the long-term twice a year matchup of CeeDee Lamb and DeJean Cooper is going to be as a must tune in? Like, that's kind of fucking awesome, right?
It's crazy how my brain breaks when I try reading and I'm doing something else. I didn't even say DeJean. I said DeJean Cooper.
DeJean
Cooper. Because it's backwards on the
listed last name, first name, right?
And I'm like, DeJean Cooper? What? So,
I thought he was white.
Yeah, he's
an exciting white.
Trey Letches.
All right. The fundamentally that matchup is going to be worth the price of admission, and honestly, anyone that has a slot corner that can cover CeeDee Lamb, I think tells you that Dallas is not likely to cover and or not likely to break 17 points, we'll say. So moving on to ratings. What say you?
I say this is a pretty good team.
Pretty good. Number 1?
They are, I believe so. Let me sort it.
I have them number 2.
I got to sort it by that quickly.
You just got to put a rank column in your Excel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have one. Never mind. There it is. Oh, man. Well, I haven't made my adjustments to Baltimore and Detroit yet.
Okay.
It's technically their 3rd, but my Baltimore and Detroit numbers are sitting. So when Detroit lost, there was no reason
locked
for them
in as a plus 6.5 or whatever.
I had them as 6.4.
You were higher.
There was no reason for me to change it.
3.8 for them then.
They weren't playing the next week. I didn't. I don't know if I fully adjusted enough for that defense being broken, but
my defense.
I'll say Detroit is
31st best defense when we got to that game.
Detroit will drop behind them.
Okay.
And then Baltimore's right there as well. So I'll say number 1. I'll have them as the number 1 team.
I have them 2 behind Baltimore, but it's goddamn close.
Baltimore was about a 6.4 too, and I haven't gotten to them quite yet. So offensive coordinator / quarterback. This is a quarterback that we beleaguered a little and a new offensive coordinator. So I went with a 6.5 here.
6.5 for me as well.
Good number then.
Would you say like not arguably top 10 and not arguably not top 5. Like,
yeah, it's funny. It's like
he sticks
you
his
are
head somewhere.
your floor
Yeah.
and your ceiling are like 6 and 8.
Bang
Man.
bang. Yeah. I will note that he deserves more of an availability, right? Like so when I'm
What's the best ability? It's
availability. My sim this season, I have a factor that I've thought hard about of just every time that I sim a game, coin flip, a weighted coin flip, did your quarterback get hurt? And if he did, then here's a distribution of how many games he misses, right? And every quarterback, I have a specific number that reflects their availability. That's informed either by speculation based on their size or based on some sample size of data we have from their time in the NFL.
Yep.
Right? Like nothing's happening to the Terminator, nothing's happening to Mahomes, just because Mahomes doesn't get touched.
They don't miss games,
Josh just doesn't miss games. I would put availability high for Hurts. Whereas like a guy like Dak, it's going to be on the lower end at this point. I think we have enough sample right now to say that Dak is a little bit of an injury question mark. And I'm not prepared to say that Jaden Daniels is just going to start 17 games yet. I still need to see him put on a few LBs before I feel that way. And, honestly, sharpen up his
now I kind of want to just do my Baltimore number to see where I'd have them. Yeah, I think it's going to be close.
I'm curious where that lands for you. The big question or big tough question about Baltimore is what their coverage number, in my opinion. Everything else is pretty straightforward. All right, so 6.5, we agree. Where are you on skill group?
Skill group is an 8.
8. Yeah. If there was any depth, this would be a 9.5.
Yeah, top end. Yeah. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon. It's a little bit of a drop off for me because of the injury history and where Dallas Goddard, we give him his French name today, where he's at, and then complete and utter shit at depth at linebacker, at tight end, wide receiver, and running back. If you AJ Dillon, that's not doing it for me, guys.
No, dude, did not love.
But it's so high end at the the front lines there, so it's an 8.
Just ace after ace after ace. Offensive line,
it's an 8. I'm keeping it the same as I had it last year, even with the.
I'm a hair down. I was 8.5. I'm an 8 now, mostly because of that move. But
yeah, the Steen stepping in, so it's going to be. Here's the other thing too. Like looking forward, I do wonder how much they like these young kids they drafted, because Lane Johnson is in his 12th year, I think. 13th maybe. Jordan Mailata is not crazy young. The middle of that offensive line is young, but they need to, in the next couple of years, and I don't think I need to tell Howie this. I'm sure he knows these things. They need to probably find some tackles here eventually, because they're getting a little long in the tooth, but they're both very good, and It's still an 8.
Agreed. Okay, so we're on the same. We had the exact same 3 numbers. We had the exact same 3 numbers.
I always like this part because it's usually like we're pretty close, or there's one that's like off by 2 points.
Yeah. Run stop. What you got?
Run stop for the Eagles. This was higher last year, and I did drop it down to a 7.
I did a little bit more. I went down to 6.5. I'm a little worried about their defensive tackle situation outside of Carter. I'm not sold that you can get as many snaps as they appear to expect to get out of Jordan Davis. And I'm not sure what the answer. Certainly to start the season, I want to be lower in the absence of Nakobe Dean.
Dean, yeah.
Yeah. As good as Zach Bond is, like now that you got up the spine for run stop, you're a little bit sus. So
yeah, I'm willing to watch this and downgrade it if the answers to linebacker aren't good.
Yeah. If whatever that poo-poo platter that Dallas is serving up sticks it to you in the running game on opening night, then I guess I'm not going to be surprised, but I'm going to have to go down from 6.5. 8 for pass rush for me. Where are you at?
Oh, really? I dropped this to I dropped this to a 7.
Okay. I think Jalen Carter is a DPOY candidate for real.
He's very good.
Granted, I'm worried about him as a human based on everything we know about him and the fact that he just won a Super Bowl and, might decide he only needs to practice once a week this year. But whatever the case is, he is undoubtedly one of the most talented football players on the field every single week. And I think in general, the what you're getting out of some of these other guys around him, in particular in like the Super Bowl as an example, like what you got out of Hunt in the Super Bowl to me was just part of the overall, fact that you have such a magnetic piece in Carter and a really good schemer in Fangio. So I'm sticking with an 8 there. I'm not expecting that this unit overall is going to have a tough time generating pressure on high leverage downs that are obviously passing downs. I don't think.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess I'm a little more cold on some of the departures and trying to fill in. We'll see. But
I also think coverage plays into this as well. Like
I think 7 is coverage still a pretty good number.
I think coverage is good enough that it's just going to look like a better pass rush. Honestly, 7 is also very good. Yeah, 70th percentile. We're splitting hairs here. Coverage.
I mean, it's still. I had this almost at a 9 last year.
You're sticking with that.
I'm going 8.5.
I'm at 8 there. So yeah, we are effectively.
We haven't even talked about the safeties. The safeties are fine too. Like Blankenship's good. Sid Brown, they're good. Everybody's been fine. Ringo isn't maybe. If he had to be like, I'm the best outside corner, I don't know, that would be great. But the fact that he's mixed in with the other 2 guys in some decent safety groups, it's a really, really good secondary. And the pass rush helps that. So maybe I am low on pass rush. Sirianni, like I want to give Sirianni like a 3, but the fact that he's aggressive and they seem to make good play calls,
and he seems to listen, and he seems to listen to the.
Yeah, they have a good game plan. So it's like a 6, man. It's still good.
I'm at 6.5, even though I hate him. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I just want to punch him in the face. Yeah. I want to do. You've seen the golf video, didn't you? Bang, bang. The guy goes back. Have you not seen that video?
Yeah, the guy that gets tossed. I did see that. ST
6, above average. Elliott's fine. Punter's fine. Bradenman, new returner, new long snapper. Just a little bit of question mark. It's a very, I think, respected special teams coach as well. In God damn it, if I can remember his name, Michael Clay, because I always think of George Clooney.
Michael Clayton.
Michael Clayton, not quite Clayton.
Yeah. Can I just have a little bit of a sidebar? So
yeah.
I went on Twitter to post this was funny that both of these came up. I went on Twitter to post the schedules, which is rare. Mm-hmm. And
you only do it once a year.
I saw the golf fight video and somebody brought up Michael Clayton as like a great movie. And
Nina Kimes did. I saw that too, because that made me laugh when I was reading about Michael Clay. I'm like,
have you seen it?
That's a good movie. Clooney has a bunch of underrated ones, I think. You know what movie I really like?
Agree to disagree.
I like it.
I thought that was a snooze. How long was it? How recently?
Yeah, I think you need to rewatch it.
That was one of the ones in the moment, like it was doing something that a lot of other movies weren't doing, so people were a little excited about it. I revisited it like
that's the Ides of March
6 years later, and I was like, "This has been done."
I'll have to rewatch it,
and I don't ever need to see this again.
If I was going to rewatch a Clooney movie right now, I'd rewatch Up in the Air. That one's pretty good. Where he's
where he's firing people.
Farrah Farmiga.
Oh yeah,
and Anna Kendrick. I think that's a good movie.
Yeah, that one's the winner.
I watched The Wolves with him and Brad Pitt. It was like made for streaming. It was okay. Like it was a decent flick. It's something.
You're on.
I talked my wife out of going to the Jurassic Park movie tomorrow. I've heard
Nice.
very bad things.
I think that those people are correct.
Yeah, so
I don't know what
not
movies
going to be
you see
doing
these
that.
days.
We're going to drop the kids
I don't
off. They're
think
going to go
things
watch
are very
Superman
good.
instead.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's getting weirdly positive reviews, even though the
I've
trailer
never been a Superman guy.
horrific. Yeah.
Right. You know what the best part about Superman movies are?
They keep making them.
No, the score. Like it's a banger.
Oh yeah, sure.
Song. John Williams.
Is this a John Williams? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I ended up at a 6.15.
I'm at a 6.1.
God damn it,
I'm at a 6.14, Andy.
I assure you, we do not talk about these ratings before the podcast. We never.
I can't believe I have to expand my rating number to another decimal so that we can actually compare who's high and who's low, since we're coming in at the same 10th of a point.
I go out to 100th. I go out to 100. So.
All right, I'm out to 100th now too. 614 for me for Philly, number 2 team in the NFL. All right, let's talk about. Oh God damn it, I got logged out. I hate this.
What'd you
know when you
get
bookmaker, because I wanted to pull up their fresh.
There were a few years ago they did something and it just pops out a lot quicker.
It's on the top of the hour, 1 o'clock. We hit 1 o'clock and it shoved me off. And one of the reasons I get annoyed by that is because I have it set up to autofill with my with the camera recognizing you, and guess what, when you're streaming it doesn't know what to do. It's like I can't even get to the camera. What do you find some? You gotta find some other way. Use. It's like, oh Christ, this is a sad state of affairs. That this is where.
Yeah, another shout out to Kelshi, just constantly logged in on the
phone. Don't forget to check out Circa Millions, Circa, the sharpest book in the desert. All right. The make the playoffs price for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes. Do you want to guess the number?
Minus 2,000.
Minus 507. No is plus 355. I don't think 355 no is enough for me to pounce. I needed a bigger number. Regular season wins for the Eagles. I don't have an opener here, but currently it is 11.5. 11.5 juiced over to plus 113. Under is minus 133. Don't know that I love sweating out an under 11.5 at minus 133. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on this under. God, they won a shitload of games last year. What were they, 13-win team last year? 14? 14-3. Okay. Well, I don't think they're getting to 14 again, but
quick question we missed here too. The Sweat thing. I want to hear your opinion on this too. If Sweat was actually good, or if he was a product of playing next to, or playing with Jalen Carter a bunch. And
well, the answer to the answer. Well, Birdie's other note here, I didn't want to push back, but yeah, a lot of these guys in the front, they got a lot out of Argonne. Is that a worry? And I would say, if you're telling me that guys like Josh Uche and Nolan Smith Jr. and Azeez Ojulari and Jax, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Jalix Hunt, that those guys, and Hunt's probably the best of this group that I'm mentioning, and I don't even know how to pronounce his first name.
I like
Uche. They're all above.
They're fine.
You put them in a defense without Jalen Carter, I don't think they're moving the needle. You put them in the defense with Jalen Carter, and they can win their one-on-ones and be effective as a pass rush unit. And so, yeah, I ultimately think Carter is the tide that raises all of these ships. And as long as he's available and engaged, I think this pass rush deserves an 80th percentile rating.
Well, a lot of those names, I think the way you say them, the Josh Uche and hey, this is a good player, not great. I think you would have done something like that with Zach Bond last year. That's sure. I think that's the differentiator is Fangio might just get something out of one of these guys that we are not expecting. We might just get Sweat numbers out of
to me, the bigger loss is Milton Williams, right? Because now you are counting on Jordan Davis to be pretty available, on a snap count basis. That's a little sketchy.
Well, and the thing is too, I don't hate I mean, Calais Campbell's 1 trillion years old, but Dalvin Tomlinson in the middle, and Baron Browning and Walter Nolan, the rookie. Like, Sweat isn't in the Philadelphia Eagles superstar circle of defensive tackles and edges that they're rotating through, but he's not in the worst place ever. Like, I think he could still have a good year down there because that's kind of turning into a fun defense. And that defense was horrific, like as short as last year at the beginning of the year.
Okay. Odds to win.
I'm trying to think of the guy who got hurt. Dennis, what was the guy's name? Dennis something ended up on the IR. That's gonna bug me. In
Darius
Arizona. No, Dennis. Cardinals. Dennis Gardick. He was a linebacker that was having a nice little year, and then he got hurt bad.
Okay. All right. So the odds to win the Super Bowl, the Eagles are your first choice, second choice, third choice. After the Bills are plus 555, the Ravens are 655, the Eagles are 657. I think that just tells you that if the Bills and the Ravens were not in the same conference, either one of those teams would be the healthy favorite for the Super Bowl. And the Eagles are your first choice in the NFC by a decent amount. NFC price for the Eagles right now is 306. Next choice is Lions 507. And I agree with that. 3-1 for this Eagles team to win the NFC is perfectly in my ballpark. And 657 to win the Super Bowl is within my ballpark. The problem for me is just that if you're matched up against Baltimore or Buffalo in that Super Bowl, I don't know that you're getting enough respect to where you're the favorite. Am I crazy? Like, if it's the Chiefs again, I think the Eagles probably are weirdly like healthy favorites in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's so hard to.
But if it's Buffalo or Baltimore, I feel like it's probably Eagles as dogs in the Super Bowl again. So I don't know that I'm like seeing a super high upside play here on Philly. So I'm probably just going to pass and see how healthy they stay. I think if we end up making a strong case in the futures pool for the Eagles, it's going to come when they are kind of third or fourth in the standings, and it looks like they're healthy enough to make a run at the end of the season. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, and I think for me, they're a game-by-game team where it's like they had some blowouts last year. When they play a bad team, I'm fine laying a touchdown. I'm fine laying 10 because they do just what they do is run the ball and run the ball well. And then what happens when you build the lead? Well, we better start running the ball now. It's like, shit, we're still too good at this. Like they just grind teams to a freaking nub. And I mean, you saw it in the Dallas game too. They still have big playmakers at wide receiver. Like they can just beat you 100 ways. And if you're a bad team, I think they're going to have some blowouts against some of these bad teams. I'm fine just playing it game by game with them and probably playing on them in the playoffs a little too with all the experience they have.
Okay. Okay. The other reason to just be cautious and pause on all of the NFC East teams, Andy, and we talked about this when the schedule was up, we aren't going to know anything until week 16. The two best teams by margin, by our ratings in this division, play each other week 16 and week 18. And for me, the Commanders are more of a bet now because I really don't care if they get home games or not. But the Eagles are a type of team where I love them. If you got to come through Philly, if you got to play in the Link in January, like, don't overthink it. The Eagles are just winning these games. But if you got to go on the road to a wild card round and then an NFC North team and then, a San Francisco in the NFC title game, right? Like if there's a path where you're road coming out as the wild card, good luck, guys. What do you think?
I couldn't remember if they were road in week 17 or 18 or not. At least that is a home game. But it's 2 out of 3 on the road to end it. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think it's kind of the same. It's the same boat. We compared Washington to Minnesota last year, where we said, is this a 14-win wildcard team? And it feels like if there aren't catastrophic injuries or something weird happens,
This could be
one
12,
of
13 win wildcard.
yeah, one of these teams is a 13-win wildcard team as well. And at that point, you really got to weigh, some percentages there on where you think they land and then start doing some calculus on the futures prices, because there's a huge difference, obviously, between 1 and 5 as far as your probabilities. And if you're not confident enough in where you think they'll land in those two spots, you're probably making a bad bet.
Yeah. AJ, I thought about this and I almost said it out loud. A good chance that Buffalo has nothing to play for in week 17. I actually don't think that's true. I think that is their tune-up game where they clinch the one, they rest everybody week 18, they get the bye week wildcard weekend, right? Like that's kind of why I think that's a really fucked spot for the Eagles. You're going at Buffalo there after Washington and before Washington, and that's probably Buffalo's regular season like dress rehearsal. Don't love it. And by the way, the result of that game, particularly if the Bills end up getting the 1 seed and potentially going to the Super Bowl, the result of that game is going to massively influence the prices in the Super Bowl. So I don't know that running and grabbing prices on anything Eagles right now is warranted. That's kind of my final call, including in the awards markets. I saw Samuel asking all those questions.
Yeah, we'll get to this heavily when we cover the Bears.
Yeah,
honestly,
we'll cover this for a good 10 minutes. I promise.
Coaching,
that matters too for sure. All right, the awards markets. You got an opinion on Saquon Barkley repeating any type of success in OPOY? He's the favorite, I think, right?
I know it's so hard. It's so hard to repeat the kind of year he had. I mean, but what are teams going to do? Let's key on him and let AJ Brown beat us constantly.
Well, what if AJ Brown or Devontae Smith isn't available for a chunk of the season?
And then you can key in on him, and suddenly he has a paltry 1,400-yard season, and you give it to a wide receiver, and suddenly the Brian Thomas Jr. is your OPOI.
Barkley, your favorite right now, 588 in the OPOY market. Chase is 835, your second choice. I don't know you could get the third choice if I gave you 20 guesses. Maybe you
for
could.
OPOI.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe you've been paying attention, but I'm surprised by this.
I haven't looked. Is it Lamar or something? Is it or is it a quarterback?
Nope. Third
are they still
OPOI?
Are they still putting Tractor Cito way up there?
Tractor Cito's fourth.
Josh, I mean, is it a quarter? It's not a quarterback.
Not a quarterback.
It's not Justin Jefferson.
It's not Jefferson. Jefferson's like 6th or 7th.
That's silly.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know.
Justin Jefferson has been bet into 4th. I'm sorry. He was started listed higher, but Jefferson's 4th. Henry's 5th.
I give up.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs, yes. Oh, shit. Somebody just said it.
Jahmyr Gibbs, your third choice right now for OPOI.
I do remember seeing that a few weeks ago.
Barkley at like 6-1 feels like a bet against. I don't put all of my weight into witchcraft. Like he touched the ball 400 times and therefore he can't be bet. Like, he seems pretty 1-1 to me, and he's young and he didn't have nearly as many miles early in his career as a lot of the other guys who eventually hit that milestone and then completely died. So I don't think there's any voodoo involved here with Barkley. I just think that some of the success he had last year came in some pretty concentrated chunks that were then there was an incentive to keep him going to get to 2,000. And if any of that, if he's doing well this year, and they may give him a little bit more of a blow in like November so that he's fresh for that final push in the playoffs. So I don't know.
I suppose Jefferson's number was just a little lower based on the quarterback situation.
Yeah. We're going to have a whole awards show at some point. So we'll put a pin in all of this. In fact, maybe our Fuck Around Friday episode when we're in Vegas, that'd be a good one. Let's do awards there because we'll be able to go down
live from the Bellagio fountains.
Gets those bets. We'll use the live circa numbers to get some action, like we did last year, where Jaden Daniels was 7-1 for offensive rookie.
Can I use the Iowa? I think I have to get a different app though. I don't think you can use the Iowa app.
No, we want
Vegas.
Physical tickets, man.
I know paper tickets rule.
Physical tickets.
All right. I remember a conversation you and I had not that long ago. The Eagles are a boring team. We can knock this out in under an hour. We're at 75 minutes. We're pretty close.
We got off track with the Michael Clayton discussion.
That wasn't 15 minutes. Did you watch the preview yet for I can't think of the name.
Oh, the Smash Burger?
Smash Burger movie. The Smashing Machine.
The Smashing Machine. Did you know The Rock is in it?
Yes.
I know.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah,
almost.
Just a hell of a what a job for hair and makeup from that one.
Yeah, what a hairpiece. And they made him look like the person. It's a true. Biopics. They love biopics. True story.
Right.
Oh man, him and Springsteen.
Yeah. Bob Dylan got snubbed last year. It's a Springsteen versus Smash Burger this year. All right. Yeah.
See you guys.
That's good. For the Springsteen movie to be nominated?
I think
even better, Jeremy Allen White to be nominated for Best Actor. That feels very likely to me. Like that should be 85% probably, right?
Politics, culture. You think it's under